I love war.
Specifically, I hate that one war where they nuked an elephant.
That one was justified.
Those are two things I hate most: war and elephant.
Hey guys, in this episode of the podcast, we're going to drop a colony on a single elephant. Hello everyone and welcome to the Weeb Crew.
Oh, we're starting?
Might as well.
Welcome to the Weeb Crew.
This has already gone down a dark path where we're talking about Siamese twin sex.
Well, I'm gonna read.
No, we don't enjoy it.
Well, no, yeah, it's not. Yeah, but you know,
I'm not happy.
I'm never happy.
I'm discussing this out of necessity.
It's listen, all right. We're just talking about hypotheticals. Okay.
I'm just asking questions. Okay?
We're just asking questions here on this anime podcast.
It just reminds me of like the Chris Hansen thing. Is like, you asked her, "Do you do anal?" It's just a question.
It's a question.
It's a question.
Question.
Just a question. What is today's question? Well, I guess we should introduce ourselves. I'm a host. I don't want to really take full credit for this now, given everything that we've said so far. But I'm a host of this podcast. My name is Psiotic. You can call me Psy. And I'm joined as always by the brain of the operations. Put all the blame on him. That's Mumi.
I'm here to formally announce my retirement. Actually, this whole thing has been orchestrated by one MercuryFalcon.
What?
We were all held at gunpoint and told to comment on the fur affinity situation.
Listen, that's just the name of the episode. The fur affinity situation is wild.
Listen, I jumped in and was immediately asked how I felt about killing elephants. So
this is
don't
true.
push this
That's
all
fair.
on me.
And you can hear MercuryFalcon's thoughts on elephant executions in the United States if you listen to the uncut version on Patreon, because that's definitely not staying in.
Wow, what a great transition to shilling our fucking content.
Yeah. Thanks for coming on, John. Talk about Mecha anime.
I felt like my opinion on elephant execution was very middle of the road. I don't think I said anything too controversial.
Oh,
Well,
we'll leave that
I'll
up to
reserve
our
judgment.
patrons to decide. Now, Mumi, you take the reins. I don't know where else to go with this apart from we're talking about mecha anime today.
We are. This is the Mecha episode. You know how
Yes.
Hazel has the Fully Cooley video? The Weeb Crew now has the Mecha episode.
We have listen, all right. No other podcast has ever talked about mecha before. Certainly not for less than 10 minutes.
Certainly not recently either.
Certainly not recently on a podcast for a
October
streaming
16th.
service.
It's more like all the ones that do are like dedicated to mecha, so it's like, okay, you expect it.
Yeah, well,
True.
it's either it's a dedicated mecha podcast, or like even just like dedicated to like specifically like Gundam,
or Macross or something.
yeah, or it's like a podcast that doesn't really talk about mecha that much, and but they still like it's an anime podcast, and then they're just like, yeah, I don't really like mecha that much. So guys, why do you two hate mecha anime?
First of all, it has a lot of positive depictions of elephants, which I hate.
Oh, I thought you were going to say it has a lot of positive depictions of war, which I love.
No, I hate that too.
That too.
I love war.
Specifically, I hate that one war where they nuked an elephant.
That one was justified.
Those are two things I hate most: war and elephant.
Oh God! This a single elephant is getting smithereens.
Look, I'm just saying. I don't know what's so funny.
Hey guys, in this episode of the podcast, we're gonna drop a colony on a single elephant.
Operation Dumbo Drop.
You know, I feel like Char Aznable is the type that would do that.
Are you someone who unironically calls him Char?
Who quattro vagine?
I feel like I meet a lot of people who only know the name through like reading Twitter posts, and they say Char, and it's very annoying.
Char. What? I don't even know how. I never even thought about it.
It's Char.
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 Yeah, that's why the old
I
translations.
just thought it was short for like Charmander.
No, and also Charmander is a minor.
That's true. Yeah. That's true.
But no, that's why
We're not allowed
the
to
old
talk about
translations
minors
for
on
Gundam
this
stuff used to call him Sha, and they pronounced it was spelled like SHA. Sha, but it's supposed to be Shar.
It's in like he's like he's
Like the Shah of Iran, yes,
yeah,
exactly.
The Shah of Iran.
That's supposed to be like an
Shah
onomatopoeia, like Sha.
Well, there is the song, like the insert. Have you seen Gundam?
Oh yeah.
I've
Well,
never
okay. Let me
explain.
let me asterisk this. Okay, I watched the 3 recap films because I was fucking duped.
Go on.
I was duped. Okay. I was told the original
Listen,
Gundam
all right.
sucks.
I didn't know she was a minor.
The original Gundam sucks. Watch the recap films because they're the canon version of events. Because things that were like the Gundam hammer were retconned in the original series in the movies. And so you want to watch the movies so you can get the Zeta because that's the good part. And then I did.
You got trolled.
Yeah, I got fucked. I was like, what the fuck? The first movie is okay. Like, cause it's just like
The
1
first
through
and-
9.
I think the first and third are the third one's very good.
Yeah, the third is just like the end of the series. So it's just like, okay.
And it's all reanimated, so it looks awesome.
Yeah. Then the second movie was just like, I don't know what the fuck that was.
Yeah, the second movie, I Senshi, is rough, in my opinion.
There's literally like 2 or 3 times where there's just like a narrator just be like, oh yeah, and all this stuff happened, guys. Now we're moving on to this.
Yes, and I also find it a little egregious when they interrupt Ryu Jose's iconic scene to have a scene where Matilda is like, Amuro, remember you're a new type. And it's I think the one thing to defend I Senshi, I think it has good music. I like the new songs for the movie. I like that they reanimated Rambaral's death because it did look wonky in the TV anime and the movie made it look good. And then also like the scene where Bright kills a guy on the white base. It was like pseudo censored, like they cut away in the TV anime and they show it in the movie. And I think that's cool. But as a movie, it's like, this is like a mess of the mess. It's a mess of a middle chapter.
Oh yeah, that was awful.
But I think I actually just saw Encounters in Space in theaters and it was awesome. I fucking loved it. That like, I would say if you're going to watch Gundam, watch the TV series. If you liked it so much, you're like, I need to watch the movies, by all means, do it. But if you're like, oh, I think I got what I needed to get out of Gundam, I would say at least give it to yourself to watch the third movie as well, because you will get something out of it in addition to the TV series version.
As somebody who watched the movies without the series, and then I'm currently getting close to halfway through the TV series, it is a much better experience. Like, I could feel that the impact was like lessened because I'm watching the movies as I'm watching the TV series, and I'm just like, well, it's not good anyway because everyone fucking says it's shit. So I'm just getting to Zeta, and then I watched Zeta, and I was like, wow, this is what I fucking butchered the TV series for. I don't dislike Zeta, mind you.
That's the thing, is that like I will complain about Zeta. I am not like a full-on Zeta hater.
Zeta hater.
Yeah, but I will say, going from first Gundam to Zeta, and obviously, when I first watched Gundam, what was it, like 2013? I finished original Gundam and went straight into Zeta, and I think going straight into Zeta sets you up for a little disappointment. Because I was definitely left Zeta going like, oh, okay, yeah. In retrospect, I think I appreciate a lot of what it puts on the table more. And I also think that when I originally watched it, and I originally watched Gundam this way too, I watched it through the Canadian dubs, and I don't I'm not to be the dub hater, but those dubs were made, over 20 years ago. They don't really hold up. I think the original series dub is actually better than the Zeta dub, but I have a friend who's watching original Gundam, the TV series now, and he's watching it with a group that will only watch dubs. And I'm just like,
Oh,
after he tells me he finishes an episode, I'll usually be like, you should rewatch this scene in Japanese because this is way more impactful. Like he just finished the Giran Zabi speech, and like the dub guy for Giran Zabi kind of sounds like Homer Simpson sometimes. and I'm like, you gotta hear Ginga Banjo give this speech.
Fucking Homer telling people to rebel against the Earth.
Marge. I cannot do a good Homer.
I can't either. It's like,
Oh,
my boy Bart sacrificed himself. Why?
just like Adolf Hitler. Oh my god.
I can't. Yeah, we don't do
Um,
impressions on this podcast.
Yeah, I
Got
felt
good ones.
it's a shame because like I would think we talked about it on the video we did about Licorice Recoil. I think I mentioned it, where it was like the Gundam dub, not the dub, but the original Japanese audio for
Right.
Gundam, feels like so natural in a weird way. Like it doesn't have like it doesn't feel like it has like the typical anime like voice acting conventions, like the kind of databasey kind of like, oh, we're gonna sound like this for this character for a
Mhm.
tsundere or whatever. Like a lot of the characters just kind of sound like they're just talking like a podcast or something. They're just like, oh, hey, look at these charts. That's kind of weird.
Or that they leave in mic peaking.
They even might be.
Or
Yeah,
like the
just-
stories of like Tomino like screaming at Toru Furia to like, no, more, louder.
It's like you gotta fuck the microphone. You can't go any louder.
Tomino, please. But no, it's so interesting to like hear the dub, like the original Japanese dub of Gundam, and so like I feel like watching the English dub is like sacrilege.
You know what? I don't want to say I regret watching it dubbed. I was just like a different person back then.
Yeah, kind of just is what it is.
Like, I guess I'm glad now that I've seen it both ways, so I guess I can compare.
Mm-hmm.
How did you like the Zeta dub?
The Zeta dub is noticeably worse. They did use a different dubbing studio, because I think it's the Blue Water, and because it's an ocean dub, but Blue Water is like the lower caliber dubbing studio in that area. And the Zeta dub isn't particularly good. Even the returning characters are replaced with different actors because it was just Zeta dub I do not recommend. I'm trying to think if there's anyone who like stands out, and I think like Henkin is like a good voice in the Zeta dub, because Henkin is actually the guy who played Master Asia in the G Gundam dub, and he's really good. Dave Pettit. He's actually one of those actors that was so good that he doesn't do anime anymore.
He transcended.
Yeah, he does like fucking the narration for Ice Road Truckers and stuff.
Oh hell yeah! I love that like narration voice you get on History Channel shows.
Ice Road Truckers.
The Ancient Aliens guy is the best because either I hear him everywhere or that's just a really generic narrator voice sound. But man, it makes the dumbest stuff sound so believable.
Honestly, it all adds up if you think about it.
Yeah. Was the United States Constitution influenced by aliens? The
What, is
real
it
episode
signed
of
by
Ancient
Bigfoot?
Aliens.
Who could have written this? Aliens?
Are there
He doesn't
aliens
know
in
the
Gundam?
English language? Technically.
I like the idea that aliens were like, you have the right to bear arms.
It depends what you mean by aliens. If you mean alien as in like not from Earth, I mean technically the colonies would be technically
I mean, like
aliens,
not
I guess.
human.
I think there's aliens in. Is there an aliens in a Gundam?
No, I mean, I was gonna say Double O. Double O and Seed introduces like a fossil that is said to be like the first like alien, technically like the first alien life form discovered. It's not like aliens as in like an alien species that humans are at war with.
Right.
You know, Gundam's whole thing has always been, I mean, that's what sets Gundam apart from like a lot of 70s mecha shows, is that it's a conflict that where humans are fighting other humans.
Humans are the real monsters.
What was the one?
Specifically the Zeon.
I actually have only seen episodes of 00. That's like one of the, maybe not one of the few, because I also haven't seen like Age, but I haven't seen 00. But from what I understand, there's aliens in that one.
I haven't seen 00 either, or Seed. Much to the dismay of random Japanese bar goers.
Oh.
So the thing about Seed is that like I fully concede that it is the worst looking Gundam TV anime. Seed and Seed Destiny, original Seed, is worse. It is like visually, animation wise, the absolute worst looking Gundam TV anime. And I only specify TV anime because there's like OVAs and ONAs that are like kind of dog doo-doo PowerPoints.
Right.
So
you
like
count Captain of Cosmos?
No. Captain of Cosmos weirdly takes more from Zambot than Gundam. I'm gonna throw that at you real quick.
Does it?
I don't.
Like,
I watched it.
What do you mean? Like,
I watched it
like
recently
assets?
on Tubi, so I should know.
Oh, was it on Tubi? What the
It's
fuck?
on Tubi, yeah.
Oh, that's awesome.
I was going through Tubi because someone on Twitter was like, "Oh, I see you're watching World Masterpiece Theater. Are you watching it on Tubi?" And I'm like, "No, I stole it. What are you talking about? It's on
What are you
Tubi."
talking about? There's anime on Tubi?
So I went on Tubi, and that's how I also found that weird Tubi dub of Blackjack. Anyway, not to get off topic, but yeah, Tubi has all of the like those Korean knockoff anime movies.
Oh, that's awesome! Hell yeah!
Yeah, and Captain of Cosmos. It seems like, from my perspective, more of the character designs are taken from Zambot than Gundam. Like Captain of Cosmos, they do have the Char who reveals himself to be Amuro,
Which is hilarious.
Cassilia who reveals herself to be Sayla. And then he fights like an alien who's Dozle Zabi at the end.
I'd have to rewatch it and like check and see is there more like Zambot designs in that show or movie?
Yes. The little boy who's a robot, and they tell him, where they yell at him and they're like, "You can't cry because you're not human."
Oh yeah.
That's the boy. That's a boy from Zambot. And then also the scientist who's there is the scientist from Zambot as well.
Okay.
There's also one of the civilians who gets whipped is Kenzo Kabuto from Mazinger. Like they literally, it's Kenzo Kabuto, but they took his mustache off. His mustache and scars are gone, so it looks like a weird. It's like the young Kenzo Kabuto from Mazinger.
Are we sure that Tomino didn't just like sneak off and like do this movie without
Just,
knowing?
like,
This is like the
Autolark,
true
just go to
Gundam
Korea.
experience he wanted.
Yeah, you're not supposed to when they say watch the movies, they mean Captain of Cosmos.
They mean Captain of Cosmos. Everyone should watch Captain of Cosmos. You want to talk about bad dubs? There are 2 dubs for that movie, and one is significantly funnier than the other one. I think it's there's a Hong Kong dub, which is just terrible. It's awesome to watch.
I know there's one that was titled Johnny Destiny Space Ninja.
Yeah, I think that one might be it.
And I think that's a better title
Then Captain of Cosmos. Yeah, honestly, especially like if you're like trying to like sell this in the 80s, that's like way more of like an appropriate title, I'd say.
Mm-hmm.
Well,
yeah.
while since we just started talking about Gundam,
Yes.
because you can't talk about Mecha without starting with
The first
Gundam.
one.
So unavoidable.
Yeah, it was the first mecha anime. No other
The
mecha
first
existed
mecha.
before
No.
Gundam.
Well, I mean, was it Get a Robo that aired in like 98?
What the fuck is-
Mazinger
Yeah,
aired in like 2004.
98
Yeah.
and then Mazinger, you know, all the post 9/11 anime is.
Yeah. So like Grandizer just aired this year. So
Yeah,
like,
yeah, yeah.
nothing-
Oh, yeah, that
nothing aired
Grandizer
before
show.
Gundam.
True.
Yeah. Which is a sequel to that Mazinger show that came out like 20 years ago.
2004, yeah.
2004. It's crazy. It's
why-
really popular in the Middle East.
This is something me and Sai have kind of grappled with. Specifically while we were watching Dogrum, Fists of the Sun.
Fang of the Sun, but go on.
Yeah.
No, I prefer Fists of the Sun.
Fist of the Sun.
Like Shining Finger.
Epic Steins Gate reference, by the way.
But what? So I guess since we have people that don't like Mecha watching this, we should talk about what the appeal of Mecha is. And I feel like this is a very loaded question because the appeal of Mecha is very different for
different
wide
people.
range of people.
Really now? Wow, that's a crazy thought. I never would have guessed people like different things for different reasons.
Well, I say this because it seems like everyone that talks about Mecha, they're always like anytime they shit on Mecha, they're always talking about a very specific appeal to Mecha. And it's always like, oh, this is like military, very they're just talking like in rooms.
People who like the military specs of the mecha and stuff. And like that's it. Is like what people but it's like that's the assumption people make. If you don't like mecha, then you assume that in order to like mecha anime, you need to be like really into like War Thunder.
Right. Yeah. It's kind of like we were watching a video. It was like basically just describing it like, oh, the fights suck because, you know, they don't punch each other and like they shoot each other with guns. And you just can't get the same impact with shooting a gun as you're punching somebody. It's like, why?
You should link me that video. It sounds really good.
Oh yeah, I'll link it to you right now. Hold on.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's just like people have this like weird perception of what mecha is and like why people like it.
Well, it's I mean, that's the case with literally any genre.
I was gonna say that's like every genre is gonna get boiled down to I have a perception of it and I either love or hate that perception.
Yeah.
You know, all shonen battle stuff is just punching and friendship conquers all and Deus Ex Machina attacks and all the other stuff, and it's like
all shoujo is romance. I've actually seen people say that all romance is shoujo, which that makes even less sense.
Yeah, it's very people are just like,
yeah.
People are just like, oh, you should read more romance. Go watch shoujo. It's like, well, shoujo could be anything.
Yeah, it could be anything.
My bullshit opinions on mecha anime.
Yeah, that video.
Oh, it's 2 years old. I wonder if this person's like achieved consciousness since then.
Have they passed the mirror stage?
But that's like a very like common thing. It's like, what the fuck? Just like watch. Like I feel like these people don't actually watch the mecha they're complaining about.
No, well, that's the thing. They don't. That's all. That's precisely. You've identified the problem at hand, Mumi. These people have seen maybe 1 or 2 mecha series in their whole lives.
And that's the thing is, the quote, unlike most mecha anime, this one focuses on the characters. That came from me hearing people shit on mecha as a genre, but then offering the caveats of, except, Gurren Lagann or Code Geass or Evangelion.
Yeah.
And usually that boils down to like, I hate all the ones except the ones I've seen. And it's like,
it's a really strange mentality where you watch like a Gurren Lagann or an Evangelion or like Code Geass, and then instead of your mind being like, this is a really good mecha anime, maybe I should watch more mecha anime, you're instead like, oh, this is the only good one, and I don't need to watch any more.
My roommate Chad said that he had such a similar experience in the visual novel community.
Yeah. That's so. Visual novels have that to like the nth degree. I swear to God, I see people read. It's like, oh, I've read Tsubihime. That's all you need to read, or Umineko, or like just one visual novel. That's the good one, maybe 2.
Unlike these other ones that are just like boring pornography and stupid and all these other things,
When it's like, holy, like, shouldn't that be like, oh man, maybe I should really like, start getting into this more. That's like been my like experience with like Higurashi, where it's like, fuck, I need to read more
Nah.
visual novels.
Yeah, no. Unlike other visual novels, Katawa Shoujo is about the character.
I'm gonna put a gun in my mouth and pull the trigger. Unlike other visual novels, Class of '09 doesn't have any degenerate fetishes in it.
I was going to say,
said,
people say that, I mean, Doki Doki Literature Club, same thing, where people read that and they go, oh, finally, one that doesn't do all these things that I project onto
that you just
to the genre.
Finally, one that lampoons all these assumptions I made about the genre.
This thing that I have no familiarity with whatsoever. It's so frustrating, to see people doing that, and it's like you're just selling yourself short. Really, is what I'd say, because it's like you're just willfully turning your brain off and running away from things that you very well have a high chance. If you enjoyed Evangelion, you have probably a decent chance of enjoying like Gunbuster or anything like that. So I don't know why you're like actively then being like, no, those are trash. Like, why?
Well, because you're just assuming they're all bad.
Yeah. And then instead of questioning your underlying assumptions, you're just like, oh, this one is the exception to the rule.
Well, I couldn't have been wrong, so...
Yeah.
There are shows that do focus on that appeal, but they are very...
Sure.
I don't even think they're common, like, even uncommon. They're pretty... Like, again, we Dogram, Fisting of the Sun. I feel like that one is very... the appeal to that one is very much like the kind of like nitty gritty specifics of like the politics and stuff.
Yeah,
like,
absolutely. The methodical nature of every plot point moving slowly is like sort of the appeal to it.
Yeah,
I remember we were
Dogram
talking
itself
about
looks like equipment.
I remember we were talking about like I think we were complaining about something where it's like I don't really see like what people see in this part, and like, oh, but you didn't like when they were talking about the the agricultural thing, like they were planning on like how they were gonna like plant these crops or whatever. I'm just like, the fuck?
Or like I mean like the first major what would you call it? Like the first major arc is like a space colony going through like their universe's equivalent of like the Iranian hostage crisis.
Yeah.
Or like the way they always talk about with the way they move the mechs, they can't just like get in the robot and then like walk to the battlefield because that consumes more fuel.
Yeah.
So they have to put the mechs on trucks and carry them or like attach them to aircraft carriers.
There's a lot of like logistical stuff to it. Yeah. Which I can definitely see the appeal in that. It didn't really beat me off, so to speak, when watching the show. I didn't really like Dogram.
I think we enjoyed like the first 20-ish episodes already.
Yeah.
It was just like once you get to like episode like 60 or 40 kind of range, and there's
I think that was our take. It's basically it's like this could have been better if it was not 70 some episodes.
Yeah, 74?
4?
Something like that. Yeah. I did watch Votoms after that, and that one I think is considerably better, but it's not really. I mean, it's got some of the same appeal. In this, it's not necessarily like onto the level of Dogram, where it's like some of the kind of details of like the scope dogs and stuff like that, and like the or battlefields and stuff.
Yeah, or like even just taking it from the perspective of in this universe, the pilots aren't like heroes. These are like Votoms comes from the word bottom because they're the bottom of the food chain, basically.
Yeah.
And then you get Mellow Link where he becomes a super soldier.
I only watched Mellow Link this year, and I fucking love Mellow Link.
Oh, it's fucking great. I only watched it this year too. I watched it and Votoms both back in like January or February, I think. So they're pretty fresh on my. I enjoyed Votoms, but like Mellow Link, I was like, I kind of feel like I might like this more.
I honestly feel the same way. And I like the Votoms original series. I think that here's the thing. I do feel like my opinion is a little skewed because the way I watched it years ago, and I watched it by way of, I don't know if you guys know, but Central Park Media actually originally put the show out on DVD. like in 1999 to the early 2000s, and their DVD release was abysmal. It was complete dog shit. It was like a VHS transfer, and the subtitles were burnt. It was because it was VHS. It was like the subtitles were burned into the screen, so it was hard subbed.
So it completely defeats the point of being a DVD.
Where you can't, I remember being like, oh, I can't rip this for footage if I ever wanted to make an AMV or anything, which was a thing back in the day. I don't know if young kids know about AMVs, but but yeah, and I bought like all the singles because each arc was 4 DVDs, and I had all of it, and I watched it by way of that. And like, while I liked the show, it's like the audio quality and video quality was so bad that like, there were episodes where I was like, I'm getting bored, but I think it's just because I can't see anything. and now it's on Blu-ray, and I do own the Blu-ray, and I kind of want to rewatch it.
I will say, Grey Phantom did like their remaster of it back. Fuck, that was like 6 years ago. Like, it's been a while. I feel like that was still better than the Blu-ray.
I think so too.
Blu-ray,
yeah, because I do remember when the Blu-ray. So I should clarify. Sentai actually did 2. They originally did a Blu-ray that was the series, and then a second Blu-ray of OVAs and movies, and then they later did a combined pack. And from what I understand, the combined Blu-ray has better quality footage than the first release they did. I haven't checked them specifically, but that's what I heard. But I do remember when that initial Blu-ray dropped in 2019, people were saying like, okay, I'm going to buy the Blu-ray because I want to get more anime like brought over, and I want to support this, but I am going to still I'm still going to watch the torrent because it's better quality.
Yeah, I bought the Blu-ray collection. It unfortunately doesn't have fucking Metal Link on it.
It doesn't, no.
It's fucking bullshit.
No, that's a different license, apparently. I guess it is a different director. It's the director of 8th MS Team.
Yeah, I was going to say 8th MS Team. Which people don't like 8th MS Team.
I don't.
Oh, you know?
Really?
No.
You know, they have like good episodes. Like the fucking fight with the...
yes, episode 10. Episode 10 is good.
I know the ending's kind of like whatever.
Really bad, yeah.
You got some peaks. You got some good episodes here and there.
I think that it's got some of the best looking Zakus in a Gundam. I like some of the art. I think the animation's great. Like it's a very good looking Gundam show. My issues are entirely with the writing, and I understand that like what they were going for is like they wanted it to feel like a Japanese, like a J drama. Like I've read that was what their goal was they wanted it to feel like a romance drama. And I understand that, and I know that they specifically said they wanted to juxtapose this almost like intentionally cheesy writing, but with a very dark setting, with the Vietnam, a lot of the Vietnam pastiches, however you say it. Right. And I understand that, and I get what they were going for, but it doesn't hit for me.
I mean, that's fair. I do think Votoms feels more what that is trying to accomplish, like with the original Votoms, with like the Vietnam kind of thing. Like
the Kuman jungle arc.
Yeah, is that the second arc?
Yep.
That was kind of like, that's like the appeal that I think I get out of like Votoms is like seeing the mechs like basically just acting as like tanks essentially. Like they're just vehicles you can see like existing. So it's like, even though it's basically like you see like a Vietnam war setting and you see like a mech kind of like flowing through it, it doesn't come off as like super unrealistic.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, you're not going to see a mech in Vietnam, but like it still feels like grounded enough.
Like the opening scene of Patlabor 2, which I think, no, that takes place in Cambodia, which is the same country as Vietnam, from what I understand. Otherwise, why do we bomb it? Where you have like the spider tank things, which look in realism. If you think about it, really think about it, that's a silly idea. But the way it's presented is so like grounded. It's like, oh, yeah, that makes sense. Yeah.
I mean, to quote Chris Stuckman on Patlabor, this one focuses on the characters.
Yeah. Well, if you want a mecha series, that really focuses on the robots, you have SD Gundam.
You have Metabots.
You have Meta. Yeah. Now now that focuses on the robots.
SD Gundam, Romance of the Three Kingdoms specifically.
There is which I still need to watch because holy shit, that seems awesome.
How long is it? Is it like a 50 episodes?
It's not terribly long. Let me see.
While he looks that up, what are the best like mech fights?
I
feel like the 8th MS team is like up there.
Yeah, I will as much as I don't like 8th MS team, the Goof custom is probably my favorite mobile suit. Funny enough, it was probably like the second high grade I ever built, second or third. I wanted to get the master grade, but from what I understand, it's an older master grade and is not very good. So, but the Goof custom fight is good. I don't really like go crazy for the fight scenes necessarily. Like I just watched Encounters in Space in theaters, and like the Battle of Abaoku is so interesting to me. Just because there's so much happening with the characters in that, like over that episode. I guess it's in the show. I think it's all one episode.
Yeah, I think it's like condensed because it got canceled or whatever.
It's SD Gundam Sangokuden Brave Battle Warriors, 51 episodes, but they're like 12 minutes apiece, so it's like 2 core basically.
Yeah, you knock that out in a day.
Knock that out. I'm not in a day. No.
What do you mean?
Well,
you can't knock that out in a day?
I mean, I could, but I wouldn't want to.
Are you a casual fan?
Yeah, I watch anime at a modest pace of like 3 to 4 episodes a day. Because I'm an adult.
Casual.
I have a job and obligations and a podcast, as every adult does.
You know, we actually did the math on this recently because we were talking about back when I was a NEET how much anime I watched. I'm averaging this year, I think, around like 5 episodes a day.
Yeah.
Which is kind of fucking crazy.
Yeah, I'm probably in a similar boat.
Like, what the fuck? What am I doing with my life?
Me too. And like, I will say, like, this is like me watching that much anime is a recent thing. It was like, it I don't know about you guys, but for me, it was really just like, and I'm not even watching anime necessarily while I'm working now, but after COVID, I, changed to working from home, and it's like, so now it's just like, okay, anytime I have downtime, I'll put on an episode of a show.
I don't really do that. I could definitely, like, I also work from home a fair bit, and I definitely could do that, but it's also like, I feel like that's a quick way to burn myself out, honestly, because to a certain extent, it's hard for me to like relax when watching anime. At least a lot of anime. There are some exceptions, but if I'm watching something, it's like I'm sitting down and I'm like really paying attention to it.
Yeah,
it can be kind of exhausting.
My attention if I'm gonna bother watching them.
Yeah,
I mean, I'm not paying attention just because I'm on the clock at work.
Yeah. No, granted, I actually watched some episodes. Tying it back into the Mecha stuff. I watched some episodes of Bang Bravern while I was at work recently.
Oh, I still need to watch. I have it on my plan to watch. I just saw that I saw they did their collab with Venom.
Oh, did they? Oh, how fitting. Two gay couple icons.
That's what that is what Obari said.
Oh, that's so base.
He said I think when you Google Translate it, it's like man and wife relationship style series or something like that.
Oh, that's like what was the one I watched recently? It was like Godinar.
Oh yeah, Godinar.
Yeah. That the husband and wife mecha anime.
Yeah, I've only seen the first season, but like there's maybe not a lot, but I've seen a couple mecha shows where the robot Gatai sequence is sort of like sort of meant to represent like a sexual aspect. Like,
yeah.
and Godanner does it the best of the ones I've seen.
And I feel like I gaslit myself at one point into being like, Obari worked on this, but I don't think he did.
It's definitely like the Code Geass character designer.
Yeah. It's a weird ass show, to say the least.
I think everyone at this point has at least seen that clip with Shizuka where it's like even your giant ass could fit in there.
Oh yeah. The fucking like, oh god.
Is this the same character designer as like Brigadoon?
I think so.
I can check. Let me see.
Similar.
Takahiro Kimura, who has
who passed away recently, or maybe
did he?
A year ago. He was in his 50s. He wasn't that old.
Yeah, he did a lot of character design stuff. Gunsword.
His last thing was animation director in 2022 on Ao Ashi, and before that was like 2011.
I think he did character design. I think he's credited for character designs on the new Code Geass, even though it came out after he died.
Not on my anime list, so apparently it didn't happen.
Sorry, fake news.
Has anyone neither of you have watched a new Code Geass, have you?
I watched half an episode and didn't like it, so I turned it off.
It's weird because I feel like I keep hearing about Code Geass coming back like multiple times now, and I hear about it, and then evidently it comes out and just no one talks about it. And it's like, oh, that's out? I've heard literally nothing about it.
I mean, personally, and I know this isn't the popular opinion, I was like pretty lukewarm on season 1 of Code Geass, and then I hated season 2. So when I was never like itching to get more Code Geass personally. But with this new show, I liked the character designs, and I was like, I'll give it a shot. And I watched like half of the first episode and was like, yeah, this is like the stuff I don't like. I'm just I catch went on, clicked off.
It's weird. I feel like I need to watch Code Geass at some point because it has like a large amount of like staff crossover with Planetes. But at the same time, like I look at it and everything I hear about it is like, oh, I feel like I would hate this.
Yeah, no, I don't think you'd get any enjoyment.
I feel like I would be perpetually annoyed.
See, I have the esteemed hot take of enjoying Valvrave more than Code Geass.
Oh my god. You're gonna get beaten to death with a Brock or something for saying that.
I've never seen Valvrave.
Valvrave is about like a samurai mech that Spinal Attack is committing harikuri, and space vampires that reproduce by biting people and rape.
Oh,
base.
As you do.
Yeah. And it has a special agent dude who like gets out of a room with CIA agents. There's like 7 CIA agents standing around. He's tied to a chair, and he unscrews the screw from the chair, throws it in the light, and cuts his rope. And it's just like, what?
It sounds very Votoms inspired. Like it's like Kiriko escaping from the what's it called? Prison in the first episode, but
it's Kiriko does not even compare to what that was.
It's like
that's like at least like his little stupid trap thing was like feasible. Throwing a screw with enough force to shatter a light overhead and then using that to like cut you. It's like, what?
It's like Valvrave and Crossange kind of exist in the same place in my mind as being like early 2010s Sunrise schlock, and just being very absurd and kind of vulgar with their subject matters.
Yeah. They are very train wrecky is I guess the term. Which I feel like a lot of mecha were after Code Geass, like you got like Guilty Crown, and
I was gonna say like that really did start a trend. And I know the thing with Code Geass was it was like haphazardly pushed to a late night time slot, and so they were encouraged to be more edgy. And it's funny seeing the ripple effects of that.
So you're
Well,
saying
like,
that
when I was watching Code Geass, the only thing I'm thinking the whole time is like, when is like the Emperor gonna transfer into their class? Like, I'm literally
So
just
what you're
waiting
saying
for
is-
it.
So you're saying is Code Geass is to mecha anime as Madoka is to magical girl anime.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
They ruin Code Geass.
Unlike other
mecha.
ones, this one is dark and edgy.
Yeah, unlike
But
other
unlike
ones, this
Madoka-
one has table sex.
Unlike Madoka, the
Ugh.
genre actually did die after after Code Geass.
I mean, we're still gonna. I mean, there's still plenty of good mecha coming out.
I was gonna say I feel like there were more mecha after Code Geass than there were magical girls after Madoka.
Ooh,
I had to think.
Ooh,
I'd
that's-
have to look into that.
yeah.
there's, like-
Honestly, that's proportionally.
There was quite a bit of mecha. Like, I'm thinking like not necessarily like 2000s, but right before Code Geass, but like in the 80s and 90s, there was quite a bit.
Mm-hmm.
You kind of get a little bit of a resurgence around 2006, 2007, Code Geass, Gurren Lagann, but I feel like there wasn't a lot. I mean, there was not that it was just like off a cliff. You still get quite a bit, but it's like I don't know how proportionally. I feel like there's more magical girls after Madoka than there was before. Because like you go look at like seasons, and like 2004, you have like 4 magical girl shows.
I'm
Whereas, like,
trying to think
2000
almost like proportionally, really, because I feel like there's just generally been more mecha anime than magical girl anime.
There absolutely has to have been, especially in the 70s,
Yeah.
where every
Oh.
5 out of 6 shows is a mecha anime in the 70s.
Every of the 3 shows you would get, new shows you would get every season, at least one of, probably 2, maybe even 3, if not all of them, were mecha anime.
And then, well, magical girls, you basically got 1 a year,
Yeah.
maybe like 2.
Yeah, it would run in
up
like that yearly
until-
cycle, like a Sailor Moon, where you get 50 episodes every year. Now Precure, basically.
Yeah,
Um,
basically until after Sailor Moon, you started getting like 3, 4.
I mean, like honestly, after I was gonna say, I think it's Momo, or Momo led to Mammy, and it was really creamy Mammy that led to more magical girls popping up in the 80s.
Yeah, well, the whole Perot lineage or whatever. So they're all like in that same time slot as Mommy. So they all kind of, but I don't think there was like there wasn't a lot of years that in the 80s where there was like more than just one magical girl. And if there was, there's
Yeah.
only just one other one.
Whereas, I'm just going through the charts, and like, there's so many so many not magical, so many mecha anime coming out after Code Geass still, where you get like
They're probably
Iron-Blooded Orphans, Aldnoah
just-
Zero.
Yeah, just looking by tags, there probably is more mecha than magical girls.
Aquarian
Since, like-
Logos. I've literally never heard of this before.
Oh, really?
Yeah. This is-
Aquarion
Yeah.
is also in the lineage of the Gatai sequence is an allegory for fucking.
Oh, Shoujo Kawamori. That explains it. It all makes sense now. 2016. What happened?
what,
Macross
David-
Delta.
David Bowie died.
David Bowie did
Yeah.
die. We got Black Star, of course. 100. Regalia, the 3 sacred stars. There's so much mecha
Yeah.
anime.
Let me ask a question about this video in the chat here. Does he like Gurren Lagann?
Yes.
Okay. Does he say?
Okay.
Does he like? Okay, so it's one of those. I like Gurren Lagann, but not the ones I haven't seen.
Yes.
Yeah,
Okay.
I don't. Does he think Gurren Lagann
Well-
is the only one like that?
He's using as like an exception to the rule. Like at one point, he's like, "Oh, the mech designs are very distinct and different."
What?
I was gonna
He's
say
basically going left, almost like the silhouette thing. He doesn't actually. I don't think he actually says the silhouette.
Listen,
thing, but
no
it's
other
almost like
mecha
that
has
whole-
ever had a drill before.
No, that's completely
No.
original. In fact,
completely original.
Gurren Lagann is one of the most original anime I've ever seen.
Yeah. You certainly could not make a extremely long video on all the different references and influences.
Going over all the references.
It's
Yeah.
completely. It's one of the most novel anime ever made.
I will say it's kind of funny because he does say like, look at these characters, you will recognize, like they're easily recognizable and distinct. And then we flash forward to like the conversation we were just having before we recorded, where we were looking at the fucking figures on the dude's desk in the other video, and we're like, is that Yoko in a
Or is that
teacher
the
outfit?
Or is that the girl from
Police
Pony Guy?
Teacher?
Like it's that's Yoko's outfit, but they do look incredibly similar.
Yeah. Which I, not to shit on Gurren Lagann. Far be it for me to shit on my 5th favorite show of all time.
One of my favorite anime of all time.
But it
Go
is
ahead.
really fucking annoying. I do get when people that got really into Mecha are like, oh my, the whole fucking like, unlike other Mecha, Code Geass and Ava and Fooly Cooly and Gurren Lagann are about the character. Where the fuck? It's like, shut the fuck up, please.
What I will say, and I feel like maybe this is like a sign for change, but it could also just be like algorithmic filtering, is that whenever I see someone have a take like that on Twitter, by and large, I end up hearing about it because everyone ends up clowning on that person and being like, this motherfucker said the meme. Everyone beat the shit out of him. So it does feel like people believe it, but then when people like say it, everyone is like, what the fuck is wrong with you? Why are you still saying this like it's 2014? We're better than this.
I mean, my tweet's from 2017, so it was still a thing pretty late in the game.
Yeah.
I mean, it'll probably never go away, but
No,
try as you might.
There's always going to be those stupid idiots out there. But as long as we bully them, everything will be all right.
Everything will be all right as long as we engage in extreme cyberbullying.
Yes.
That's what we need.
That is what the fucking James Summerlin situation taught me.
Oh, yeah. To be fair, I feel like that's far more egregious than just having a bad take on Mecha.
I mean, he did murder his wife, so.
That's true. Yeah.
James Summerlin?
Yeah.
Oh yeah. You didn't hear about?
Is this a meme or did this actually happen? I thought he was gay. I guess he can have
James Sunderland, right?
I guess he could have a male wife. I guess that's fine.
No, wait, that's a spoiler for the remake of the Silent Hill game. Sorry. Spoilers
I don't
for a 27-year-old game.
I was gonna say I don't know video games.
No, it's Somerton, but you were saying it sounded like it could have been Sunderland, so I'm like, I just explained the joke.
You got me.
Hooray.
Got him.
Yeah, it's weird. Yeah, no one seems to think that Mecha is dead until someone says Mecha is dead, and then everyone is like, Mecha's not dead. What the fuck are you talking about?
I honestly think that comes from the fact that people, like, when you look at past year, like when I say past decades, I really mean like when you look at the 70s and 80s, and it's the most, like, the genre with the most titles coming out, and then it starts to, and then as obviously time goes on, it starts to like even out and it starts to lower, and people take that as it's dead. It's kind of like where, if One Piece has a big chapter, the sales shoot up, or if they have a big movie that does really well, like the sales shoot up. But then, as time goes on, it goes down, and people go, oh no, look, the sales, they're falling. And it's like, no, they're evening out. They had a huge surge, and now
that would make sense. It's like the great replacement theory, but for anime genres, where there's still a lot of mecha coming out, but because, the anime space is overall more diverse in terms of like the different kinds of shows you're getting, people then see like proportionally you're getting fewer mecha, therefore it is dead.
Yeah. And there is a discussion to be had about why we're seeing so less. And like Ihoba actually had an interesting post about how he was talking about magical girls, but he was saying how the reason you don't see,
I think what you're talking about.
Yeah, he said the reason you don't see as many magical girls outside of pre-established genres is because that would require partnering with a toy company to do toy sales, and anime production committees don't want to worry about toy sales because Japan has a declining birth rate, and it's not as marketable to do a toy sale, especially if you're competing against these pre-established brands. It's just not worth it. And so that's why most magical girl anime that aren't from pre-established franchises are usually, the dark magical girls or something that's aimed at an older audience because they don't want to worry about toy sales. And
I can see that definitely being the case. Yeah.
And that's very comparable to Mecha, where, those series have always relied on their toy sales, mostly from Bandai. But you don't want to make a new IP with your focus being promoting toys in a country like Japan that has so many issues with declining birth rate. It's just like the competition and the odds against you are just so high. It's like not worth it.
Yeah. But you still get stuff like which are Mercury 86, Bravern.
Yeah, but even then, those are like I said, aimed at an older audience.
Yeah.
When you look at stuff like I remember watching, they had Time Boken.
If you want those
24.
like really toyetic designs in your mecha, it is harder to come across.
Yeah. In I think it was somewhere in the 2010s, they did Time Boken 24, where they brought back Time Boken, and they did I think it was like a 50 episode anime actually, which is crazy. But yeah, it was like. It's so weird because this is clearly a show. It's still using the formula of we're going to, use robots and machines, and it's made to sell toys. And I was always really curious how well that did I think it came out like 2016 or 2017. And I'm like, I feel like the landscape is like set up for something like that.
Yeah. Well, it's also probably just shifted to things that are not mecha toy. Like, cause you look at things like Bakugan, Beyblade, things like that as well. You still have, anime built around this sort of like media mix with toys. It's just it's not mecha as much as it used to be. It's silly little tops or balls that are possibly choking hazards.
Yeah, and then also with a lot of kids these days, I mean, the toy market in general is shifting older because more young kids are opting to play with video games.
Yeah.
And that's why the physical toy market,
seeing a lot more video game
West,
tie-ins now with that sort of stuff as well.
Mm-hmm.
Feels like so many anime nowadays get like some sort of like gacha game tie-in usually, which I don't know how many kids are playing gacha games necessarily, but it is like a shift, definitely.
Get the Madoka pachinko machine.
Madoka pachinko machines.
You can touch fingers with her.
Is that a thing in there? I don't remember that.
Yeah, she puts her finger against it and you can touch her finger.
Oh. That's a weird marketing selling
point. What's weird about it?
Yeah.
It's a pachinko machine.
Why don't you want to touch Madoka's finger, Mumi?
I just associate that with like pull my finger.
Okay, well, that's like your weird fart fetish thing intruding in on it. You didn't need to make this about like any pervy stuff, but you went and did it because you're a fucking gooner.
Wait, that's not a pachinko machine. That's the
that's
slot machine.
Oh, okay. I guess I never really paid that much attention to it. I just
the machine itself.
It's the gambling box.
It's the gamble box. That's not the pachinko. But there's so many pachinko machines in Japan. I remember they had just come out with like a Fist of the North Star pachinko machine.
It was insane.
It was advertised everywhere.
Oh, those pachinko machines are insanely profitable.
Yeah.
Is it a reference to this?
It might be.
The Sayaka point.
Oh, look, she boops. Oh, hell yeah.
She boop.
I want to boop a Madoka.
I want to boop Miguka.
Boop Mabuka.
Boop.
That's not a mecha. Well, okay, so how does... What is your take on like defining mecha? So like obviously like a Code Geass and like Guilty Crown or mecha.
Mm-hmm.
What about Ghost in the Shell?
Ghost of Shell, or even like a Mecha Musume, like a fucking Kankole, or even like a Sympho Gear or something. Where do those fall on the mecha spectrum?
I personally feel like weirdly, Ghost in the Shell feels weird, but I also am not going to be like a super, like. So I understand that stuff like I would consider like battle armor. I would consider mecha, like Bubblegum Crisis. You want to call that mecha? Yeah, that counts to me.
What about Mecha Ude airing right now?
What is that?
You haven't been watching Mecha Ude? Oh, it's fucking good, dude.
Hell yeah. It's
Don't gaslight me.
It's like this independent project that got like an independently produced like OVA back in 2018 and is now getting like a pretty nice looking TV anime about a kid with his robot arm friend.
Think Kill a Kill, but instead of a seifuku, like a sailor uniform fetish, they just have a masturbation fetish, so it's all about their hands.
Oh, that show feels like it was made for me.
It's just, why are you selling it like this, Mumi? What do you mean masturbation fetish?
Look, okay, the arm of the Mecha Ude is a right arm. He's right-handed. He's jerking off. He's a dude, and then the girl has two. So she's doing work.
This has nothing to do with the show, but everyone listening to this should watch Mecha Ude. It's very good.
I mean, it's just like fucking Kill a Kill. This is what it's about.
It's. I understand why you say it's like Kill a Kill, especially with the Sawano soundtrack, but it's not like that. Kill a Kill like that. Again, Mumi, you need to keep your gooner shit to yourself. All right, this is a pure.
Wait, I'm not the gooner. I'm not the gooner one of the two of us.
Well, you are this episode, seemingly.
Are you guys gooners?
Ew, gooners.
Remember when goon used to mean like someone who like was like from something awful?
Yes. No. What's it called? My friend's brother almost got a tattoo in the 2010s that said like certified goon. Because he liked this.
That would have been.
He liked this.
That would have aged wonderfully.
Yeah. No, that's incredible. But as far as like my definition of mecha, I'm willing to go a little liberal with it. But like, there is some stuff where I'm like, that doesn't feel like the genre to me. And there's also people that go like, well, and you can call anything any genre, and it's like, okay, then why not let's just not use words at all then.
Yeah, it's like, well, okay, then what's the point of having genres in the first place?
If there isn't going to be a little bit of exclusion.
Would you say you had a preference? Like with the established, like either the super robot or the mecha, the real mech genre?
Real robot. I would say I think my preference is real robot. I really got into mecha through, I mean, when I started, it was, we already talked about this on the last time I was on, but I got started through the OVAs. Like that was what got me digging really, really deep into anime, was looking through OVAs. And so stuff like Bubblegum Crisis was kind of like my entry point, even though I didn't really consider it mecha at the time. But something that got me specifically into like the robot side of mecha was probably original Gundam. And so I've always had a preference, I think, for the military backdrop, real robot stuff. I still need to watch a couple Ryosuke Takahashi shows. But like Leisner, I fucking love. Macross is my favorite anime. I always, my top 10 always jumble around a little bit, but like seeing like a couple people on my timeline who are watching Macross for the first time is like, I had this weird feeling that I don't think I've had for a very long time, where I'm like, I just want to talk to you about this show. Like, tell me what episode you watched. I want to talk about it with you. And that kind of made me realize that like, this is probably my favorite anime. If like just seeing people say they're watching it makes me want to engage with them about it.
Yeah.
I mean, that's how it was with like Ava for fucking ever. Like, I literally would just participate in those fucking what the fuck did I just watch threads that they would have. I'd just be in there like answering questions for people. I'm like, well,
I always pose it to like, because I tend to, research the shows that I like. And so like with Macross, I've said that it is a show that if aliens came down and said they would blow up the earth unless I could win a anime trivia contest, and it will be about one show, I get to pick the show. I've always said Macross would be the one.
But what if they start asking you questions about Robotech?
I could also answer those.
Damn.
I have seen all of Robotech twice.
See, now if they start asking me questions from like the Netflix dub of Evangelion, I'd be fucked.
There are absolutely things where I've been talking to people and I've been like, okay, I don't remember if which one of these is the Robotech name and which one is the original name, so I'm just going to use both.
Now it's time for the real hard-hitting question, though. Is Initial D a mecha?
No.
What the fuck?
How are cars any different from mecha? But don't be that, Batman.
Well,
think about it. It's a
when
think about it, all right? Think about it.
You know when Takumi is training on the mountain and he has like the water that's filled to the brim and he has to like do like the the drift without spilling any of the water in the cup. I always thought it would be more interesting if instead of a cup of water it was a cup of piss, because like I'd really not want to spill that.
That would add some greater stakes, because now you're no longer just getting wet. Now it's piss, potentially not even your own piss.
No, it's his dad's.
Oh, okay. I wouldn't want my dad to piss on me.
No.
Yeah, hot take maybe. I think that my dad pissing on me would be pretty gross.
Yeah, but what if you're on fire?
There are better ways.
What if there weren't any like water balls around? You're like stop, drop, and roll, and it's just not quite working. And
I don't think him pissing on me is going to help in any capacity. If anything,
you never know. He has to try, right?
Because he loves you.
If you see your son on fire in front of you, if you're not willing to at least try to,
I would
piss
prefer
on
him to
run
and go get help.
I mean, you'd be dead by then. Where's he gonna run to? You're in the middle of the forest.
I feel like I'm going to die anyway.
And also in this situation, he doesn't know what stop, drop, and roll is, so he can't tell you to do that.
Oh,
well,
I see.
No, he's already stopped, dropping, and roll. It's just not quite working.
I feel like if that's the situation, then P wouldn't help, honestly.
Yeah.
I mean, what if you had to really piss like a lot?
Again, Mumi, I feel like
so it's like a two birds with one stone. Like I gotta pee, and this might help you.
Exactly. What if that saved your life, right? What if that was the difference?
Mumi, you are into some weird stuff.
All right, look, I'm just saying, if you were on fire in front of me, I would piss on you to put you out.
That's different, because like we're friends, all right? We don't have we don't have a father-son relationship, really. All right,
but your dad would not piss on you to save your life.
No, but a father pissing on his son is weird. Friends pissing on each other is fine.
That's just being boys.
What's a little piss between friends?
Yeah, what's a little piss between friends? Come on.
How we get on this from Initial D again?
Because it's not a mecha anime.
Yeah, it's not a mecha anime.
It's a piss anime.
It is weird though, because I think we talked about this like a couple days ago, Mumi. You know how like in mecha anime, you get like syncing with the robot and stuff, and how like your movements kind of, the way that you end up manipulating the way the robot moves kind of just becomes like second nature.
Yeah.
It's like it is like that when driving a car, to the point that like when driving, you just kind of like zone out and you're like, I don't remember what I was doing for the past 10 minutes. How did I get here?
We did literally talk about this. I was literally like, there are times I'm driving and like, I'll just kind of like blink and I'm just like, wait, how did I get to this point?
But I feel like that's like analogous to like, what operating like a mech would be like, and it kind of just becoming like maneuvering it becomes second nature, basically. It's like driving a car.
Get into a flow state.
Yeah.
I wouldn't get into a flow state if I was being shot at by Zaku, though.
That's true. Driving a car in a stressful, in like a war zone is a different scenario.
I feel like I'd be haunted by the ghost of an Indian girl, though. That happens in Gundam.
Oh, okay. I'm like, wait, what the fuck?
You were hitting me with these confused sounds, so I thought I should just like
Thank you, because I could tell that. Like, is that something that happens in Gundam, or are you
is.
schizo posting right now?
No,
Do I have to edit this out?
Amuro was schizo posting in the Battle of Abawaku.
Oh, I see.
Is Char Aznable a cuckold?
No. I don't think that their mental discussion counts as sex, and I don't know if Char.
I don't know. They're new types.
I don't know if
that's-
Char was I mean, they do sort of wind up in like a polyamorous situation where like their minds are together.
I mean, it kind of seemed like she was more into Amuro, if I'm being real.
She was asked.
It seemed like-
She was hitting him with like a lot of like political questions. Like,
That's true.
She. I feel like you don't see someone that like, oh, I'm really attracted to this person. I'm gonna ask them what are they fighting for, and then like she also is like, why are you fighting? You have no friends. You have nothing to fight for. You have no friends or family or something.
Well, she's love bombing him. She's trying to make him dependent on her.
Okay, so she's a manipulator.
Yeah.
Okay,
Well, she learned it from Char.
that's true.
I mean, Quattro Vagina.
What?
Is it?
That's his name in Zeta Gundam Psi. Geez, get with the program.
Quattro Vagine. Hold on.
It is Quattro Vagina.
You could see the face that I'm making, like trying to process.
Do
this.
you actually
I'm like,
not know that about Quattro Vagina?
No. Sai is ignorant of
that's funny.
The Gundam lore.
You have to keep in mind the only Gundam I've seen is like the first season of Witch from Mercury.
Oh,
Yeah.
So I am woefully ignorant on all things Gundam.
yeah. There's a lot
Didn't even-
in Zeta. There's a bunch of characters who have sexual names, and one of them is Quattro Vagina, which can also be spelled as Quattro Vagina.
Kind of base, Tomio. I'm not gonna lie, base.
Jamaicon Hyman is my favorite though.
Oh my fucking
Yes,
god,
like-
that's not a real name.
Yes, it is. It is.
What the fuck? Why?
Like, what dub is he voiced by Steve Bloom?
That is the original dub of the movies that was done in like '98.
Interesting.
He was Steve Bloom in like the original movie dub. Those dubs are like Sunrise doesn't acknowledge those dubs anymore. They're actually not on the Blu-rays.
Is he a good Char?
I've never heard him as Char because I'd never watched the movies dubbed.
I feel like this is something I need to go listen to at some
Those
point.
are, I mean, and then also in those dubs, like we were talking about earlier, they do pronounce his name Shah instead of Char.
Sha.
Oh, I'm sorry. Did I say I combined two characters? I'm thinking of Jamitov Hyman. Sorry.
Is that better or worse? Is there a character just named Penis, or is it all like female genitalia?
Tomino is a feminist, so
I'm sorry. I was Jamaican. I was thinking of Jamaican Danningham.
Is there just a character named Michael Fallopian?
There's Ben Wooder. Ben Wooder did pilot the Psycho Gundam.
Poor guy.
Gundam
Oh,
is a
God.
very schizo franchise when you get into it, honestly.
What? Everything I hear about it is war and trauma, and not vagina man.
Yeah, one of the main characters just changes his name into Quattro Vagine.
To be fair,
It's
to be fair, he changed his name a lot before he became Quattro Vagina.
True, he's got like, what, 5 names?
Quattro is his fourth name
Oh, well, I guess that makes sense.
because it's
Yeah.
Casval Daikun, then Edouard Moss. I guess that's how they pronounce it in the origin. I used to call it Edward Mass, but it's Edouard Moss. Then is Char Aznable, then Quattro Vagina.
It's like, all right, name number 4, Quattro.
To be
I won't lie.
to be fair, he is part of a squad of Latinx men, so like he needed a Spanish sounding name.
Are you? I don't even think we're allowed to say that word on this podcast.
My roommate and best friend is Mexican, and he said it's not okay, so I'm gonna keep saying it.
Yeah, you will get legitimately offended if you say like Latinx.
No, you don't understand. He gets the "I'm pestering my best friend" pass. All right?
No, I see. I wish I had a
That
pass like that.
supersedes. That supersedes the like I'm okay. It's okay for me to say this pass because it's like
I
oh,
see.
okay.
Yeah, of course.
It's not okay for you to say this, and that's why you're saying.
I just know that yeah, someone probably just listened to that and was cringed horribly. And if they're listening to this while driving,
I feel like I say it. I feel like I say it on. I say it on Twitter all the time. I think people might think I'm being for real, but
Like, guys, don't worry, I'm not actually racist.
yeah, I'm doing this to gaslight people.
What is your opinion on the origin?
I never finished the Origin manga. The Origin OVAs, I think the first episode is incredible. I would watch it if they put it in a fucking movie theater. I think that the rest of the Origin anime was acceptable. I like it's not bad, but it's like, okay, this is like cool to get more stuff with these characters. But none of the other OVAs hit like that first episode that's dedicated to basically Ramba Raw.
Is it just me or isn't it the origin basically just the Star Wars prequels?
No. I mean, the Origin manga retells all of Gundam. It's the OVA that
yeah, the manga. Yeah, I should clarify that the OVAs are basically just the Star Wars prequels.
I don't think that I think that they work better because there is like
I feel like there's an quality connotation if you say that.
I think that the original Gundam does set up a lot of stuff in the Origin better than the prequels, where yeah, there's stuff like, oh, they mentioned the Clone Wars. What are the Clone Wars like? And it's like, oh, the Clone Wars are stupid. Why are they stupid? I feel like the Origin does a better job of being like, hey, remember when we mentioned something? This is what it is. And it's like, okay, well, that's a satisfying and plausible explanation.
Yeah, so they're the prequels done better. I don't think they're as bad as like.
I was gonna say, it sounds like you're saying these are like terrible.
No. So like when I say that, it's because like they're very fixated. Like, granted, it is more from his perspective, but it's very fixated on like Char as like Char like idolizing him almost.
I think that Yasu probably views Char in a more heroic lens than Tomino did.
Yeah.
But I also think, remember, the OVA is adapting a portion of the manga that focuses on Char. So like when you say the OVA is Char focused, it's like, well, they're specifically adapting the Char material.
Right. I guess I should like, because it's like the stuff. It's just always like funny to me where it's just like, oh, Char is from Space Texas. He's a space cowboy, and then like it shows him like playing basketball.
Well, okay.
I was like,
I'm gonna correct you there. He's not from Space Texas. He did go to live on the Texas colony for a while.
Well, no, the original Char is from Space Texas.
You mean okay? So the original Char.
Yeah, which is another weird thing. I'm like, now we have to be introduced to the actual. I thought it was just like a moniker he took up, but no, it's like it's a person. He like stole their name.
Yes, he stole their name and identity. But in that case, I feel like I'm trying to think. Is there another Gundam where someone steals someone's identity because they look identical? Maybe
that's such a common trope. I
feel
Turn A kind of does that, but it's not
yes.
like...
Oh, yes, you're right. Kahil, you're right. Yes. I believe because Yasu specifically said that with the Origin, since they were only covering First Gundam, he wanted to include story elements from all other Gundams, but work them in somehow. And so I can see the Char duplicate, the two Chars that look similar, being his homage to Turn A.
I can see. See, I was lacking that context. That makes more sense. It's still very funny. It feels like I'm watching like the origin story of like Darth Vader kind of thing, where it's like it shows him he's like the ace pilot at like a young age. And then
I was fine with that because they established that in the original show. In the original anime, he's only 20 years old.
Right.
And like it's obviously implied by his rank at that point that he is a a prodigy. And another thing is that there is stuff set up in original Gundam that feels like weirdly specific, that like when Rambaral is on the white base and he sees Sayla, and his first thing he says is like, Artesia, do you remember me? It's Rambaral, son of Jimbaral. And it's like, who the fuck is Jimbaral? So that line always stuck out to me as being like, why does he very specifically name his father that we've never heard of before? And then in the origin, it's like, well, they know Jimbaral way more than they know Rambaral because they were sent away in exile with Jimbaral. And they grew up with Jimbaral. And I believe in Encounters in Space, they do mention Jimbaral again. But like, for me, it all fits into place and it makes sense to me.
That's fair. It's just, I guess I always came with that impression, but that's just watching the OVA. Like, obviously I didn't read the manga, which is a different beast entirely. And
then also, I guess with Gundam the Origin, they did Doan's Island, which is the film is based on the Origin interpretation. And I thought that was excellent. I love that film.
Is that part of the Origin?
Yes.
I thought that was just like its own standalone film.
It is a film, but like it obviously adapts. There's a whole Doan's Island part of the Origin manga. And that's what the film adapts because, you know, one of the changes in the Origin is that they meet Slugger Law earlier. So that Slugger Law is actually there during the Doan's Island stuff. And that's, you know, obviously they put that in the movie.
Yeah, it's always been weird in a way that they've kind of marketed the Origin OVAs as like the prequel when like it does change quite a bit from the original TV series. I remember there being like different, like the way they introduce things and the way that like stuff kind of happens is like that didn't quite line up with the TV series.
Was there anything specifically?
Not that I can't remember. I can't remember the specifics anymore. It's been a while since I've seen the Origin. I just remember there being like little. It went like major, like oh my god, ding, like. Cinema sins or whatever kind of problems. It was just like kind of minor things.
Yeah, that's there are some minor things.
Like, I think with what's the Rambaral, I think there was some stuff with him that felt like I don't remember it being that way in the original, or like that wasn't how they acted or introduced or something, like, you know what I mean? It felt like a weird like shift, I guess.
There is stuff like I always thought it was silly it's honestly very silly how it's done in the TV series where Zeon Zoom Daikun dies, and as he's dying he's shouting Degwin Zabi, and Degwin Zabi goes, he's naming me as his successor. And it's like, you know, and the thing is like little did they know he was actually trying to name his killer. And it's like that is an aspect of Gundam that does feel very 70s anime. A lot of the show feels timeless. That aspect, I remember thinking like this feels like 70s anime. And you know, that stuff is kind of updated in the Origin. Also, I think it's very weird that Amuro as a child has Haro. My implication when I watched Gundam was that he built Haro because he builds robots.
Yeah.
And I don't like how Haro is like a mass-produced toy later on. I understand that he is the mascot for Sunrise, but
is Haro the little ball thing?
Haro is the little ball.
Very similar to C-3PO.
I was thinking of the ball thing from like the new Star Wars, whatever the hell that thing is called.
BB-8.
BB-8.
You think they ripped off Haro from Gundam?
Yeah, I think they did.
I mean,
that wouldn't be surprising.
Star Wars basically just ripped off Gundam, for being real.
Yeah, Star Wars just rips off a ton of Japanese things, really.
Mm-hmm. Did you know that Darth Vader is actually based on Musha Kamen from Go Ranger?
Wow, I didn't know that. That's so interesting.
It was a lie.
Oh.
So what's the deal with like so Gundam wasn't popular when it first came out, or is that just a lie also?
No, it did poorly, but that was because it was airing in a garbage time slot. It was airing like Saturdays at 5:30, and it was like no one wants to sit down for a new show in the middle of a Saturday afternoon.
Yeah.
So it had really poor ratings, and the toys, their toy sponsor was a company called Clover, and all of the ads were promoting Gundam toys for elementary school kids, despite obviously the Sunrise staff telling them like this is a show aimed at middle and high school kids. And so the toys weren't selling, and it had a shitty time slot, and so they lost a bunch of episodes. And I think the way it goes is that Tomino convinced them to let him get to 43. So it didn't run for a full 50 episodes, but he got 43. And then during the run, while it was doing poorly, I think it was that they released the soundtrack, and the soundtrack on vinyl was a huge sale. Like it was like a massive thing for sales. So that, and then after the vinyl came the plastic models, and the plastic models, which were obviously aimed at an older audience, those did incredibly well. So it was something that like it did poorly out the gate, but it wasn't like people shit on
catastrophic.
it. People hated it. Yeah, it was something that like it got a little lost in the sauce, I guess you could say. But it did have like its devoted fans, and then they did a film, and the way the story goes is that Sunrise was going to do one film that covered the entire series. Tomino agreed, and then he lied to them and made a compilation movie that just covers the first arc. But it did well enough that they were able to do 2 more films, and the films did incredibly well in theaters, and that is what's credited for starting the real robot boom.
And then what about the classic Tomino claim that like the early Gundam fandom was very heavily female? Because I'm willing to believe that there was certainly like a large female fan base for Gundam early on. I also know Tomino to exaggerate and just say shit sometimes.
He does, and I think that it's like, I mean, it would be wrong of me to say that's not true, as if I have some major insight into what was like, as if I was surveying the people showing up.
Yeah, as if you were there.
But it according to him, the letters he received, the fan letters, were from women. And so I wouldn't put it past the idea that, while there were both male and female fans, the female ones were the ones that were writing in letters.
Yeah, I could definitely see them being the ones especially putting in work in terms of like he's like he talked about distributing like fanzines and things like that, definitely.
Mm-hmm.
And then the Gunpla market probably skewing more male.
Right.
Gundam was not the start of those like assemble plastic models though, right? I was like,
no. It probably goes back even further, but I know Thunderbirds was always talked about in like like when you read interviews with like people from that era and late 70s, early 80s, they always talk about getting into Plamo through Thunderbirds. That's like the big one that they all talk about.
Thunderbirds is like, what is it, like airplanes or?
Thunderbirds is the it's a British tokusatsu. It's the puppet show.
Oh, okay.
Where they have
Oh yeah, the ones with the weird looking puppets.
Yes. Yeah, and a lot of early mech designers credit Thunderbirds for like inspiring their love of designing machinery and vehicles. Like Shoji Kawamori has talked about like Thunderbird 2 being like one of his favorite Plamos he built as a kid.
Interesting. I've not seen that. I don't know if I ever will. I don't even know where to watch it. Have you seen it?
Thunderbirds? No, I haven't. Thunderbird, Stingray, a lot of the Jerry Anderson stuff is like a blind spot for me. Mm-hmm. I just know that it was very influential with a lot of the 70s anime people. I mean, a lot of those people started on there was a show called Zero Tester in 72. And that was like the company that became Sunrise originally was owned by the Japanese company that had the Japanese distribution rights for the Thunderbirds Plamo.
Okay.
And so that sort of starts Sunrise's connection to Mecha, in a sense. It sort of spawns from that.
So we can blame the British, is what
Absolutely.
you're saying.
Fuck them. They did it again.
They did it again. They ruined rock music. They invented Gunpla.
I already blamed them for everything.
Yeah. They created America.
Fucking Brits.
Fuck them.
Fucking Brits. They took over the world and their food sucks.
Have you seen Patlabor?
I watched the TV series. Like, this is another one where I watched it so long ago that I did watch it by way of the atrocious English dub. I know that some people are like, oh, old dubs have their charm. Not the Patlabor one. It's actually just bad. And I've seen one of the movies. I did watch the OVAs on Labor Day because I did Patlabor Day. So I watched all the OVAs in one sitting. So I have seen that very recently.
Okay.
Patlabor is such like a schizo series in a way.
It is.
Because like I initially went into it. I went in with the OVA. I watched it in release order. I go into the OVA, the early day OVAs, and I'm expecting like Ghost in the Shell.
You're expecting Ghost in the Shell or like Jinro.
With robots. Yeah. And then it's like a comedy.
Yep.
And I was like, oh, all right. You know, it wasn't bad.
Yeah, but when you get to like those, like, what is it? Like Longest Day, like the last two episodes, or episodes 5 and 6 of the OVA.
Yeah, they were like, okay. I was like,
that's an interesting tonal shift.
Yeah. And then I went to the TV series.
Yep.
And that was even more comedic. It's like straight up just like buddy cop comedy.
Yeah, there's episodes that confirm like there's ghosts in this world, like ghosts are real. There's
ghosts exist, sea monsters exist.
Sasquatch or whatever. Like there was like a giant bear that they thought was Sasquatch or something.
Yeah. There's like the entire episode that's them giving their Chinese food order.
They fought a dinosaur at one point. That's why I love Patlabor, because it's of all the mecha, it is like the most like realistic like mech, like as a design, because it's like very like grounded. It's just like, oh,
it approaches it like it's equipment, but at the same time, they use giant revolvers that need to be loaded manually.
Like literally the fucking like push-ups for Gunbuster.
Yeah. Gunbuster shows, so they're doing push-ups, and it's like, oh, that's absurd.
It always felt like to me like Oshi was like, oh yeah, here's your realistic mech, and
that was probably like
she's gonna fight a ghost.
Probably like the idea for like Headgear had, which, and I've never been able to confirm this, but I feel like it has to be true that Noah in Patlabor is directly based on the girl from
Dominion Tank Police. Yes.
Yeah.
She has to be.
She has. I found nothing to confirm that, but they're so similar.
When I was like
the robot.
I watched Dominion Tank Police for the first time last year, and I was like, oh wow, they stole this character.
Yeah, I was like, what the fuck?
Even though when she's doting over the tank and she's like, oh, Bonaparte, and I'm like, I was literally waiting. I was expecting her to say Alphonse. Like,
yeah, but I mean,
they literally stole the robot from Fullmetal Alchemist.
I can't, but it doesn't seem like Masamune Shiro had any problem with it, given that.
And the connections to him are weird, because it's like, I guess Oshi did adapt another Shiro property, but but allegedly, like that wasn't even his idea. That was Bandai came to him and told him like, they basically said, you make this.
Yeah, it's very, but I found literally if anyone has any information on this, please let me know. I found nothing about it. And it's like, it would just surprise me, because it's like, it's so obvious. How has no one talked about this before? It's so fucking obvious. Certainly people back in the 80s watched that and went, wait a minute.
Wait a minute.
Yeah, Patlabor is, very versatile in that it can be incredibly grounded, incredibly moody, like especially the second movie. The first movie is still pretty silly in a lot of ways. I would say even Patlabor 2 has a good deal of comedy in it still. But it's not. There are no sea. It's weird to watch Patlabor 2 and know that sea monsters exist in this universe.
Yeah.
Which I guess is the plot of the third movie, which I've still never seen.
Yeah, well, that's the one people don't talk about.
That's the one people don't. I mean, I've heard decent things about the third movie.
Maybe we should just watch it.
We should.
Okay,
and then
pull it up.
There's like the
Let's watch
right
it
now.
right
Let's
now,
watch it
live
right
on-
now. Live
on the
commentary.
pod.
We do need to watch like the live action stuff, which I've heard really good things about. Also, there's a new Patlabor coming out sometime soon next year, right? Or 2026.
Is that a
2026. No, it's no Patlabor Easy Y. It's going to be a TV series, I guess.
Oh yeah, they announced
Oh.
that in like fucking, I mean, like 8 years ago.
That was announced in like 2017 alongside Pluto. And now that it's finally coming out in 2026.
Well, that's not the first mecha to just come out of fucking nowhere after decades.
This is true. can't
Macross
think of
is,
it.
is famous for this.
Oh, I guess, yeah, Macross. It's just like, guess who's back?
The production cycle of Macross is like 10 years, I feel like, at this point.
Yeah.
Actually, I
makes
think we're coming up on the next one. It's about time.
But it's
What-
yeah, I don't know. Easy Y is going to be directed by Yutaka Izubuchi, who's like the mech designer for Patlabor.
You don't need to mansplain who Izubuchi is to me.
Well, I'm explaining it to the audience and maybe Mumi, who's terrible with names.
Izubuchi's like a jack of all trades. Like the man is like director, writer, mechanical designer.
I'm
Speaking of
going through. I'm
mechanical
trying to see
designs.
what of his I've seen that he's
Really,
like,
Shark. I mean, I guess you haven't seen Gundam. I was gonna say Shark's counterattack. He did
Yeah.
the Sazabi. But he wrote the series composition for the Skullman adaptation by Bones, which I love. He's literally, I mean it, jack of all trades. The guy does everything.
Wait, it says he has original Protect gear design for Jinro. So he designed the Protect gear.
Yeah,
That's
he did.
insane.
Mhm.
Huh. That's really funny, awesome to think about. Just given that it's like that was like a live action series at first, and you barely see the fucking armor in the red spectacles.
Mumi, you were going to say, speaking of mech designers?
Yes. Speaking of mech designs,
Oh,
what are your favorite mecha robot?
As I mentioned, for Gundam, I love the grunt suits. So generally, like, the Goof was my favorite, and I'm back and forth on if I like Ramba Rawl's Goof, which is the darker blue with the heat rod, or the Goof Custom. I'm a big fan of the Goof Custom. Any Gundam game where I can play the Goof Custom, I generally play Goof Custom. I also really like I'm getting into, I like Char's Gelgoog specifically. I think the Gelgoog only works in red. I think the non-red ones look kind of dumb. Not a fan of those. Outside of Gundam, I'm trying to think. I really like the I'm a big fan of the Grendizer from so there was a kit for Mazinger Z Infinity. They did these kits of all the Go Nagai robots in the Infinity style, and most of them don't look any good. Most of them are like, oh no, this just looks like a fucking cracked egg. But I do really like the Grendizer for that from that line. So the Grendizer, I think they call it Grendizer Infinitism. I'm a big fan of that. I have like a shelf of robots over here. Let me just swing around and take a look.
I'm trying to think of it like mech designs I like, and I don't know if I could really reasonably rank them because that's not something I've ever really thought that hard about.
Yeah,
yeah.
I've never thought much about like what is the criteria for a mech design that I enjoy.
For a good mech design, yeah.
I feel like my favorites are kind of boring. I feel like because like some of my favorites are like You like the Scope Dog. I really love the Escaflowne, like the fucking just steampunk mech. Like just as a concept, like even just seeing the cockpit, I was always like, "Fuck yeah!"
I do quite like the design of the Dogram. Again, it just looks like equipment.
Yeah, where it's got like it's
cool.
The head is like a helicopter, basically.
Yeah, it's like it's not really a proper head as much as it is like a cockpit.
Mm-hmm. That is a good one. I also like. Oh my god, I was just gonna say it. Fuck, god damn it.
Damn, we lost it.
I'm sorry.
It's our fault.
You got me thinking of Dagram now. I'm looking. So I like the Valkyrie from Macross. I was thinking about. I really like, and this is a. I think that most of the mech designs in Orgus have a. They have a theme. They have an obvious theme to them, and I just don't think it works because the idea with Orgus is that the ships don't need to be like necessarily propelled. They're like they more use anti-gravity basically. And with Orgus, like there's in the world, there's like a ceiling that keeps you from reaching a certain elevation. So like the mechs are specifically designed in a way that they're not like a jet basically. And I really like the Nikik, which if you've ever seen, there's an album that has the Nikik on it.
Nikik from
Orgus. Let's see. Here it is. Eddie Towns, Best Friends. So this is an actual album that for some reason had a Nikik from Orgus on it.
Is that like just a toy they bought and took a picture on some velvet?
Yes.
And just superimposed him on it?
This
That's so good.
this looks like a bootleg.
Yeah, I have a friend who collects vinyls, and he messaged me years ago saying, I bought this album. I think it has an anime robot on it. Can you tell me what this is? And I immediately was like, the Nikik from Orgus?
Yeah, this is an awesome find to just come across.
See, I haven't watched. I've watched like, I think I've watched all the major franchises now outside of like the super robot genre. I haven't seen
We need to watch Getter and Mazinger.
Getter and Mazinger. I don't know if I'll ever get around to.
I don't know. It's a question of what from like the 70s is like properly subbed, and I'm not talking about fucking ARR subs.
I do kind of want to watch the football one.
Diathlon?
So do I.
Yeah, I do want to watch that one.
Yeah, I did want to watch that, especially because it's not that long. It's only like 24 episodes.
Yeah, it's pretty short. I every day I pray that Dragonar will be like the HD release will be subbed.
Dude, I literally refresh Anime Bytes constantly, just waiting for someone to drop it. I couldn't believe it. Voltes 5, the Blu-rays for it came out very recently, and it's already on Anime Bytes. They got the full soft sub release, and I'm like, awesome, and it works out perfectly for me because Voltes 5 is the only series in the Robot Romance trilogy I haven't actually watched yet. So I'm like, perfect. Hey, I'm gonna watch it I'm watching it with the Blu-ray rips. Awesome. Fucking Dragonar, I've been waiting for over a year. It's been like 2 years.
Yeah, it's. I assume there's some sort of like whole like I know people have been working on it. I just assume there's some sort of like hold up with it.
Something, because like every time I ask in like a Discord, like there's a lot of like mecha centric Discords, they'll be like, yeah, so and so's working on it, just haven't heard back from them. I was like, okay.
Yeah, someone's
I took the subs from the old release and I have the raws for the Blu-ray, and I just dropped the subs in myself, and it's like they don't sync up right. So I went into Aegis sub and I like adjusted the timing a bit, and it's like serviceable, but like after 4 episodes of watching it like that, I'm like, God damn it, I just want to sit back and relax and not, because like when you do that, not only are the subs off time a little bit, but also like I'm also like critiquing my own work, like, God damn it, John, should have got the timing a little better. So it's like it's not a fun experience to have to watch it like that.
You'd think it'd be like, oh, I can just take the episodes are the same length. I can just take the subs from the like DVD release and put them on the no.
Somehow that doesn't work.
Somehow it doesn't work. I don't know enough about subtitles to know about why it doesn't work, but I know it does not work.
I tried doing that with Shirado too, and I did get 6 episodes into Shirado, which that's a Power Armor series, but they recently, the rips we had looked like dog shit. And then out of nowhere, they announced that they were uploading 1080p rips to Amazon Prime Japan. And those rips got posted on Anime Byte super quickly. And I was like, hell yeah, because last time we spoke, I actually talked about how I was working on a piece on Nishikubo and still working on that, gradually updating it. But Shirado was directed by Nishikubo, and I was going to watch it with the doo-doo rips, but like, if we got Blu-ray rips, hell, I'll watch those. And so,
yeah,
I was watching it. I was syncing the subtitles. I got 6 episodes in, and then I was like, God damn it, I want someone who's like good at this to do it.
Yeah.
I
don't know. Maybe we'll get lucky and it'll get like a spontaneous discotheque release.
I'd buy it.
No,
I'd buy it.
I have been fucking waiting for 3,000 Leagues to Search a Mother for
oh god, yeah, that's like your white whale.
A decade. Like, I've literally wanted to watch it for a decade, and then like it was around the time that Blu-rays started coming out. For, like, I think On had come out on Blu-ray. And I'm like, oh well, I'll just wait for it because like the rips for fucking 3,000 Leagues are so ass. Like, there's so much fucking ghosting, and it's like I'd want to watch it. It looks nice, you know what I mean? And like I was like, oh, they aired a Blu-ray quality remaster on TV, and so. Like, I think that's out there somewhere. I think people have it. It's not out, like, I don't think it's out on even, like, public, like, private trackers, unless it's just, like, one I'm just not around. But, like, I'll be like, fuck, I'm just gonna watch it. It's the last Takahata thing I haven't seen. I'm just gonna watch it. And then someone will be like, no, you should wait. And they're like, they fucking tease me, like, show, like, someone's working on fucking subs. I'm like, God damn it. Like, 'cause I know the minute I fucking watch this goddamn show,
it's
I'm
gonna
like,
happen.
oh, it's such a great show. I love it. This is a great show. And then someone's gonna release the Blu-rays. I'm just gonna be like, what the fuck?
Dude,
what
I
the
waited
fuck?
Dude,
10 years.
On the topic of Mecha, did you guys see that happen with Elgheim? Where I finished watching it and I was like, I had been holding off watching it because like all of Tomino's shows had Blu-ray rips, like everything, even Zambot, Daitarn, Dunbine. All of his
Triton.
all of his non-Gundam stuff had Blu-ray rips except Elgheim, and so I was like, you know what? Who knows when we'll get it, if ever? I might as well just watch the muddy-looking DVD rips that look like they're from a Laserdisc transfer. And then like I finished watching all 54 episodes, and then the next week they announced we're doing it on Blu-ray. And at that point, I just started tweeting like, just finished Dagram. Can't wait for, I sure did love finishing it. Did you hear me, John Sunrise? I just finished it.
Can you do me a favor? Can you say that you just finished 3,000 Leagues for me?
Yeah, I'll tweet it. Hold on.
Does Akagi no On have an English Blu-ray release even?
No, not an English
Not an English one.
Damn.
I don't think any of the World Masterpiece theaters have Blu-rays over here.
No.
I mean, some Takahata stuff is like
but they have
the
rips,
Brat, surprisingly. But yeah, none of the World Masterpiece Theater stuff, as far as I'm aware.
I hate like old. I think the World Masterpiece Theater stuff specific. I don't know if they've done it with other ones, but like they'll do these like Blu-ray remasters, and then do like
Pan and scan
for fucking Princess Sarah. They fucking zoom in. You're like, oh,
that's not even just World Masterpiece Theater. That's Nippon Animation.
Okay, because I've only seen it with like World Masterpiece Theater stuff.
Yeah,
so like maybe
they did it with Sorhai Isami too, which is far from a World Masterpiece Theater. But I know because with Isami, a subgroup picked it up and people were like, why the hell is this in 16:9? The show's from like 96. And they were like,
Yeah.
yeah, we're subbing the pan and scan version because it is higher fidelity than the DVD rips. And like, even if you lose a little bit on the top and bottom, it still looks better. And I understand why, from a fan subbing perspective, they would choose that. Like, it's not their fault that's what the best thing Nippon Animation will give them.
Yeah. It just
And
fucking sucks.
Yeah.
'Cause
It
it's
may
like,
also just be like a weird licensing thing because Anna the Green Gable, or no, is Anna the Green Gables public domain?
No, well, yes, but I think it's more so they want their shows to appear timeless, and so because they're even I believe they have an Alice in Wonderland series that isn't part of World Masterpiece Theater. That they are doing this is so insane. They're doing a physical DVD release in 2025 of an 80s Alice in Wonderland anime. It's going to be in 16:9 and dub only. I'm like, this is the most insane anime release you could possibly fucking make.
Why?
I didn't even know they made DVDs still.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, I didn't know. I could have sworn I heard something about their stopping production of DVDs.
I posted that on fucking Twitter where I'm like, Nippon Animation is actually insane, and people were like, what's so weird about it? And I wonder if people just don't see what I'm responding to.
What's wrong with it? I watch DVDs on my PlayStation all the time.
Not the point. That's not the point.
But I will say, going back to mech designs, my curveball, it's not that much of a curveball. My curveball is the Berserk Fuhrer from Zoids. I like that mech because it's a dinosaur.
Dude, dinosaurs fucking
You're such a-
cool.
Dinosaurs are pretty cool.
The dinosaur with like massive, I don't know what the fuck those are, massive like grappling arm things on its back or something, but it also uses it for like plasma beam weapon shoots, or like, I don't know what the fuck they are.
Let me see. What are some other 80s mecha specifically that would be on my I don't know, discotheque wish list?
Has Extra One's got a Blu-ray.
It does in Japan. It can't come over here because it's owned by Toshiba, and there's stupid nonsense around that. I thought that might actually be an interesting video. That was an idea I had, but it was my issue with making it is that it's very like that show Adam Ruins Everything, where it's like, actually, you should stop expecting this thing you like to get licensed, because I don't want to be that guy. But at the same time, I think it is like informative to know, like, these are shows that have fucking horrible licensing issues.
Yeah, well, it's
probably never see this.
The hilarious monkey's paw of all of Macross is now on Disney Plus worldwide, except SDF and Do You Remember Love? So really good. Slight downs, kind of a big downside, annoying downside.
Wait, they can't do You Remember
No.
Love?
No. For some reason, for some reason they can't do.
For some reason, it's most likely because it's owned by Toho. But if Toho owns G Kids,
yeah, that is a recent thing that happened. That would be interesting to see.
Yeah. So I mean,
Toho's been really trying to expand internationally recently. It's interesting.
They have, and Justin Savakis even said that, like, when he was overseas, like, trying to get licenses for Animego, that like Toho was like throwing out big numbers or something like that, and it seemed like, now in retrospect, I wonder if they were like, okay, they're only throwing out big numbers because they know they don't want to sell these things because they're gonna probably go through G Kids.
Yeah.
So that,
and well, now it's basically they're just gonna do it themselves, seemingly, through G Kids.
Mm-hmm.
So,
which I mean, I support that. There's a lot of Toho stuff that like, that was like probably like expensive to license, but now like, hey, Touch was a Toho license. So I mean, it's a bit of a long shot, but there's like, it's not impossible now.
I believe Toho handled the like international distribution of Godzilla -1 themselves as well, and that was a pretty like resounding success for them.
Mhm.
So it was like, oh, we can make money if we just cut out the middleman or buy them.
And with G-Kids doing more physical releases, I'm really excited for that. Like I've wanted to own Devilman Crybaby physically since it came out.
I'm really glad they're doing physical releases of Netflix shows. I think Arcane. I haven't seen Arcane. I don't care about watching it, but it is really cool that they're getting a physical release.
Bastard just got announced for a physical release.
What the fuck?
Yeah, they're doing a physical release. It's through Sentai of all things too, which
interesting.
So, sure, I'll buy it.
Yeah, why not?
This is a bad word on the cover. That's why not.
Nice.
Yeah, like hell yeah, this is so cool. Bastard does look awesome. We got to watch that shit. And what else have has like G-Kids been putting out? Oh, Dandadan. Dandadan recently is like, it's weird because it's on Netflix, it's on Crunchyroll, and then G-Kids handle the theatrical release and probably any physical release that ends up happening. Yeah, definitely an interesting time. Some, spots of light in the economy dominated by Crunchyroll, seemingly.
Yeah.
They did Look Back, didn't they?
Yeah.
Yes, that was another one.
Which Look Back is coming to streaming pretty soon as well.
It is
so
like November
I look
7th.
forward to.
I'm excited.
Yeah. Definitely gonna want to rewatch that.
Yeah, I immediately left Look Back and was like, I need to rewatch this.
We need to well, you read the manga immediately.
Oh, you didn't read the manga before?
No, I was actually one of the few people that didn't read it before, apparently.
Yeah. Well, I got to the theater, I sat down, and the guy asked me, are you a Fujimaki fan?
Fujimoto? You're clearly not, it seems.
Clearly not. And I was like, I watched Chainsaw Man? Not terrible.
Well, dude, I am I'm in this one Discord that was created just to be like a character shrine for the character Kobeni. And it was really funny when they announced Look Back, and they did like a post that was like at everyone like, hey everyone, it's just been announced that Tatsuki Fujimoto's Look Back has been announced. It's going to be adapted into an animated film. And the first reply was, who's Tatsuki Fujimoto? in a Kobeni chat.
I don't understand how that happens. I at least know the man's name.
That just goes to show what we talked about with Patrick Galbraith, that people will consume characters totally divorced from where they're from.
Oh, absolutely. For sure.
Yeah. You don't need to know who Hideaki Anno is to jerk off to Masato, all right?
Well, I feel like I've seen people like shit on series, and it's like this person is also the animation director of the series your icon is from, dude. Like,
yeah,
like there is connection here.
Yeah, I don't know. It's weird when people like start shitting on stuff like that, because it's like, what are you doing? How do you not know? But
does he know?
Does he know? He doesn't know. I don't know. It leads to people getting egg on their face in really funny ways, I guess. Did you watch Look Back, John?
I've read the manga, but I haven't seen the movie yet.
Okay. I think you're gonna really like the movie. It's very, very, very good.
It is very
good. I read the manga not knowing anything about it, and I was like kind of shocked. I didn't expect it to be like inspired by the KyoAni fires. So when that happened, I was like,
did not expect that either. Like,
the shocking.
I feel like it's surprising, just given how different it is from like Chainsaw Man or what I assume Fire Punch to be like.
Well, also just from like the outside, you're just not assuming that Fujimoto would be that like involved in that tragedy specifically. So
yeah,
you're just like, not that he can't be affected by it, but it's just like it comes out. It's just like, oh, I wasn't expecting that direct. It's like
I think
it's like that Robert Pattinson movie.
I think it definitely made me think more about how that was like that wasn't just an event that affected like people who work in a specific field of anime. That was like a Japan tragedy. Like that was like a national tragedy.
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, he's specifically kind of approaching it from like the creator perspective, obviously, where it's like, why do I even make things for people for when this kind of shit's gonna happen, kind of thing.
Yeah.
So I definitely can. I mean, it makes sense. It's not like it's like out of nowhere. It's just like you just aren't expecting it necessarily.
Yeah.
So I did like the adaptation, how it kind of like incorporates the reverence for like animation into that, and like kind of makes it more about the creator,
Mhm.
creative kind of process. As not that like it wasn't about that in the manga, but obviously it's about them making manga in a manga.
Right. Plus, you also get a really like banger, quote unquote banger soundtrack. It's actually very sad. Also, really great vocal performances.
Yeah. They weren't even. Were they even voice both? I thought both of them weren't voice actors, or was it just one of them?
Let me check.
Yeah.
I know at least one of them was like a new. This is like her first thing. I don't know if she's
in the manga. Neither of them were voice actors.
Yeah, they're
True.
both. Yeah, they're both voice actresses. No, new voice actresses. First role, seemingly.
They did really good. They sound very natural too.
Yeah.
Which, as we discussed with Gundam, I'm a fan of. I sound like when they sound natural. I did want to talk about, because like I did see you posting about like how you've kind of been able to get more. You've been like, I guess I don't know how you would put it best. Like you've been like less cynical about anime recently because of like the people you kind of been around. Or like I don't know if it's necessarily like anime in general or just like newer shows like airing stuff.
Yeah,
I did want to touch on.
Yeah, go ahead.
I was saying I did want to touch on that before we cut loose.
Yeah, and honestly, this is another thing that I've had the idea to make a video about because, in my late teens, early 20s, I was the guy that was like, new anime is bad. There's never going to be another thing that hits like Serial Experiments Lane. And, you can say that about any series, though. There's never going to be a series that hits like Evangelion. There's never going to be a series that hits like Original Gundam. You can say that till you're blue. You can say that till you're blue in the face. It means nothing. Everything is unique and special, and we love you. But I probably like over the last couple of years, like the people I've been hanging out with, just being more open-minded, not just like with other anime creators who are into new anime, but also just creators in general. People who are like actually making stuff. It's just like it kind of makes your cynicism disappear because you understand why people make things the way they do. That doesn't mean everything's good, but like it's something where it's like I won't go into a show. You see the post online where it's like every new anime is an isekai. And they're all bad and stupid, and they're all just stupid power fantasies. And it's like, and those tend to be the kinds of people who also say that like the 2000s was a golden age. There was so many good anime. Ouran High School Host Club, Death Note, all of them.
It's so it's so funny to think about that now.
You can cherry pick good anime from every decade. That means nothing.
Yeah.
Like if you want to complain about like, and the same thing with every decade, you also have a dominant genre that felt oversaturated. You can talk about 2000s slice of life, 80s and 70s mecha anime. Everything, in the 90s, everything's a battle shonen. You can say that about every decade, and it doesn't disqualify the fact that there are still good works in those decades, especially when like I feel like the 2020s has been like a great decade for anime so far. I don't know how you guys feel.
Yeah,
I'm pretty happy with it so far.
It's interesting because like I look back on the 2010s and how it started, and I don't feel like it necessarily started as strong. Obviously, you have like COVID, which hurt a lot of the 2020s.
The 2020s didn't start as strong
out.
as like the early 2010s.
Right. Obviously, you're talking to somebody that's entire persona is based around a Madoka character, so like obviously there might be a little bit of bias. But I don't think it necessarily has like the the peaks, I guess, if I gotta put it somehow. I do think there's been a lot more good original anime than like early 2010s. Like the 2021 specifically was like had like what five
So
of
much,
my
so
top
much
10
stuff. Yeah.
was all original anime. Like Odd Taxi,
Odd
Bunny Boy, shit like
Taxi,
that.
Sunny Boy, Geki Doll. I'm
Geki
leaving out a
Doll,
few.
even Nomad. Like even Nomad
Yeah.
was fucking good. But yeah, I mean, it's good. It's definitely better than the latter half of the 2010s. Like I feel like the latter half of 2010s for me really started like taking a dip. But then again, I don't. It's a weird situation because like I feel like I've started watching more.
You don't have to say you
Like-
feel like you have been watching more.
Well, I mean, like in general, like yeah, obviously this year I've been watching more specifically, but like in general, I
Sure.
feel like I started watching more than kind of the latter half of the last decade.
Yeah.
So I do wonder if like that has played a part in my perception.
Yeah, and it's like we've made, especially like these past couple seasons, more of a concerted effort to go out and look for things that, you know, something like Puniru this season, something we've not really seen anyone talking about, but is really funny and really good. We wouldn't have really probably even given it any mind otherwise had we not like, you know,
Actually tried the episode.
sat our asses down and watched it.
Yeah. And I mean, that's ended up being in my, like, it's not top 5 of the season, but it's like 6th or 7th.
It's
like,
definitely
it's like that
something
range.
that's like under the radar for sure.
Yeah. And that's previously something I would have probably like, 2015 to 2021 or whatever.
Yeah, and it's a
Probably
question of
would've
like,
just
okay,
I don't have time
how
for
many
it.
Punarus are out there that have just been glossed over?
Yeah. Well, not even just like that, but like fucking Geki Doll, right?
Yeah,
Geki Doll's
yeah.
one that you look at and you're like, that's not going to be any good.
Had I not been shilling that, you probably never would have checked it out. Had I
No.
not been like, you don't understand. It is literally the Evangelion of idol anime. Then
It's
you're like,
literally Evangelion.
and it's like, no, it's not. Come on, what are you talking about? And you watch and you're like, fuck, he was right.
It's literally Evangelion.
It's literally Evangelion.
But yeah, no, I've always felt like I'm in a weird position, which I guess some people kind of have the same experience where like since I was away for a while and I came back,
Mhm.
I then was able to kind of approach new anime from a similar perspective as like some of the older ones, because I was like, oh, people think these are classics now, and so like I started watching them, and there's not like that divide of like, oh, this is a new show.
Yeah, this is like
when I first got into it.
you have to go in and you're like, is this actually going to leave an imprint on the community, on like culture, or is this just the flavor of the week?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is this going to have a lasting impact on myself, especially?
So as I'm like watching things, I'm just like with that in that mindset, and so like that kind of is how I got into seasonal watching, because like immediately, I watched some stuff I had missed. Like I didn't watch Brotherhood when it came out, so I watched that, and I watched like Steins Gate or whatever, and then I started watching seasonals like within a couple months. Basically, like I think I watched like Day Lives of High School Boys and Kill Me Baby before I even started watching anime again. So like I was introduced to seasonals before I started watching anime in the same way I had before. So
Mhm.
like that's always just kind of been a part of like how I consume anime, right? Like that's always I always say it's like it lubes me up. Like it gets the muscle going, where it helps me watch new my backlog and stuff. Because like if I'm sitting down and I watch like a couple episodes of whatever's airing, I'm more likely to start watching stuff on my that I've been working on my backlog or whatever, right?
Mhm.
Like I'm just still kind of in that mood. Like, oh, I just want to watch, another episode of Oishimbo or City Hunter or whatever, right?
Right. To put in perspective how I'm still getting to that point, I'm actually, as far as like catching up on some shows that I may have missed because I was like, new anime is all bad. I don't want to watch these new shows. I am currently 19 episodes into Steins Gate.
Oh wow,
Yeah,
that's a far ways back.
Yeah. Well, it's funny because when I said, I'm watching Steins Gate for the first time, people thought I was like joking or lying. And I'm like, no, I've never
Mhm.
never interacted with this. I know nothing about it. I know that like something with time travel. So, and I love it now. I'm like 19 episodes in. It's like we're getting to like the big finale. Like I feel
I just
did you I don't want to spoil it. Are you just watching it?
I have not. Okay, so I've not seen Steins Gate.
Okay. Halfway through is when like the plot really goes into motion.
Yeah,
And
that's what I've heard, though I don't really know what that means.
yeah, so it feels like a bunch of events and almost slice of life vignettes almost of them doing various science things. And then halfway through, big thing happens, plot really gets going. And then it's like all gas from then on. So that's where I'm at, and I love it. I think it actually, I totally understand why it gets so hyped up.
I think it does. I think it does feel good to have shows like that in your backlog where you can like eventually watch them, and then when you complete them, it's like, that's a good check mark.
Yeah.
Big fat check.
See, I'm lacking those now.
Yeah, you kind of are.
You
burnt out too quickly.
You've brought this up where you have this fear, and I've sort of had it, but I've kind of like been able to convince myself that it won't happen. Where I think you've said that you've watched all of like the big anime to the point that you're afraid that you will run out of good anime to watch, and
it feels like diminishing returns. I guess I should how I can put it, where it's like the goalpost of like what is good kind of shifts, obviously, with like there's an element of like self-discovery with it, where like obviously now I can watch things that might be more catering to a specific niche that I enjoy and will find enjoyment out of that maybe other people don't. And that is a layer of enjoyment that's hard to kind of get when you're starting out, right? But as far as like having like a ace in the hole kind of thing, right? Where it's like there's something in your backlog you just know is going to be good.
Yeah.
I feel like I'm lacking those. Like, I feel like as of right now, Legend of Galactic Heroes might have been the last one. Where it was like the last thing I was like, oh, this is obviously going to be good. Like, I don't know if it'll be a favorite of mine necessarily, but it has to be like arbitrary number out of 10 at worst, right? And then
didn't you watch Joe more recently though?
Yes, maybe. I feel like Legend of Galactic Heroes might have been like the biggest one, but I guess it wasn't the last one because that was the one that like it felt like I would like it because like that's the one that everyone fucking loves. I was like, I'll probably like this. I just don't want it to be in my top 10. And fast forward.
Whoops.
Ugh.
It did feel really good, like being able to finish Legend of Galactic Heroes, or even recently. I finished Oron recently, and like check that off.
I need to rewatch that.
I really, really liked it.
I watched it back when it was popular, like in 2005-ish, when it was coming
2006.
out. But that's a long ass time ago.
My only real complaint is that we only see like the scuffed version of Haruhi where she's like just dressed like shit and has like the fucked up hair and glasses. We only see that once. It's like fuck. I need to see that more.
Yeah, she needs to look more like a rat.
Yeah, she doesn't look more like a goblin. That's the only thing the show was missing.
So I was under the impression this was like a kind of more recent. So I guess how far back like would you say this kind of takes place? Like, because if you haven't watched Steins Gate,
I stopped watching modern anime in like 2011. I want to say that was when I went full hipster mode. And I think I may have watched like occasionally I would pick up a new series, but a lot of times it was stuff like, I mean, I watched the 2019 Dororo, but it's like that doesn't count because it's like it's based on a 60s manga, so it's like I kind of So I also and I did watch like One Punch Man and Mob Psycho because my roommates were like huge fans of the manga for One Punch Man, so we watched the One Punch Man anime, and then when they put out Mob Psycho, we did Mob Psycho as well. So I had seen those.
kind of the big
Yeah,
stuff that like people
the
talk,
big, like, it's funny because like as far as modern anime, I was incredibly casual, but then I was also like, watching like all the like the Tomino shows and all the like 70s and 80s robot shows. It was so I don't know, maybe I told the story on the last time, but I remember in my very early 20s being on a dating site, and it was so awkward talking to women on those sites about anime because they would talk about like regular stuff, like normal stuff, I'd say. And then I remember trying to describe Science Ninja Team Gotcha Man to this girl, and I literally watched myself fumble in real time. I think back on that, like, really, it shouldn't have been such a big deal because like it was just like our first conversation. And like, yeah, it's not a big deal. She probably doesn't even remember me, but like, I do think like, man, how do I not know how humans talk to each other?
Didn't you have a similar problem a while back, Mumi, when you were trying like dating apps, and it's like, man, it's so hard to talk to women about anime?
I wasn't really trying. Like, it was like one of those things where it's like I would go on there just to like fuck around.
Sure.
And like I would go on there to like have a conversation.
That's what they all
see
say.
like if I could find. Well, I was seeing if I could find someone that would talk about anime on one of those apps. And like I'd find people like, oh, what kind of anime you like? And it's always like Demon Slayer or Jujutsu Kaisen. I was like, okay, yeah, that's about what I expected.
Those
Like, cool. I haven't seen either.
Those
of
weren't
those.
the thing when I was using those apps. But I think I did at least get fucking lucky that JoJo's popped off, because that was at least like a like if a girl asked like what's your favorite anime, I would just say JoJo's, because like I knew that was something where it's like they've probably at least heard of it.
See, I need a woman who's like, what are those like memes where it's like, this is her vibe, run, and then I can just be like, all right, match my freak. Have you seen Malice Doll? Poser, fucking poser. This is the problem with all women. They haven't seen Malice Doll.
I think if your litmus is Malice Doll,
This is Malice Doll.
Like,
that's just putting the limbo bar on the ground.
Yeah, you're just fucked. You're just like, might as well give up.
Listen, it is easier for a donkey to pass through the eye of a needle than to find someone else who has seen Malice Doll.
Let alone someone that you're attracted to and are aspiring to have a relationship with and wants to have a relationship with you.
But hey, if it works, we're gonna have a lot to talk about.
I don't socialize, so I've never really had like the interaction where people like are talking about anime and shit around me. But like my mom one time, like someone was asking her, she was like playing some like phone app or something. I don't know what the fuck it was. It was like some Clash of Clans game or some shit. And someone like, oh, do you like anime? And she for some reason was like, yeah, I like Ashta no Joe. And I was like, why did you say that? She's like, well, I remember you like, I asked you about one time and you described it. I thought it sounded cool. I was like, nobody knows what that is. Like,
I'm a freak, Mom.
You might as well just send like a word salad. They're probably just like, who the fuck is this weirdo?